Hi everyone, this is Christine with Black Teen News, and today I'm going to be talking about this horrific video that I'm sure you've probably heard about or have seen by now of these two young black women, 13 and 15 years old, who stole a man's car, or they were trying to carjack him. They tased him. It caused an accident, and he ended up dying as they were getting out the car. They were like, "My phone's still in there. My phone's still in there," which really, really upset people. He's dead, and now these girls could be facing felony murder, have ruined their lives, taken someone's life, and what does this mean for the culture and the reaction to this. And so before we jump into it, make sure that you visit blackteennews.com, that you check out content that I have there. If you would like merchandise, go ahead and check out the merchandise. And if you would like to help support, please go ahead and support. You can do so at the website, or you can follow that link right there. Appreciate anything that you guys do. God bless. I saw this pretty much when it started to first trend the other day, and it was unbelievable to really watch it all go down. Someone recorded it with their cell phone, and there's just a lot of shocking things about this. First of all, it's amazing that apparently the carjackings have gone up about 3 times what they would normally be in DC around this time. When I watched the video, I'm like, man, that area looks really familiar. And the reason why I looked really familiar is because it is familiar. My sister used to live right there in that area. And a lot of people live obviously in the area of DC, but in that particular area that I know, there's people who work high-end RNC that live around there. There's people high and in Congress who live in that area. And just to think that people are blatantly doing this stuff in broad daylight, especially when they have so many people who are there, like from the National Guard stationed in DC, that these carjackings and stuff have gone up so much. And I think I read that there's like 23 juveniles who have been arrested in relation to these crimes. And also in DC, I remember going and staying there and just being paranoid to death about my car being a little bit over because the parking meter person was going to put a ticket on it. So just to think that these people are on guard to ticket your car, but they can't get this particular crime under control is amazing and infuriating. And so there's that portion. After this had happened, the mayor of DC, she didn't say anything about the victim. She didn't say anything about how tragic this is. There was no commentary or marching about Asian hate crimes, because the perpetrators of this aren't white, obviously. Just a side note, all groups usually tend to hurt themselves more than anyone else hurts each other. Like white people do the most crimes against white people. Black people do the most crimes against black people. And it goes without failing in every group except for Asians, which it's black people who commit the most crimes against Asians. And it's awful, and it's something people don't want to really talk about. And I have seen lots of stories about crimes against Asians prior to what happened at the salon last week, but those stories didn't get a lot of play because they were black on Asian crime. So I care about Asian hate, but I think a lot of people in the media see it as opportunistic, obviously, as with all things. But what the mayor did do is that she tweeted out, "Hey, FYI, this is how you can keep your car from getting carjacked." So some people are just kind of like, victim blaming now? Like, I guess it's good information, but please put more cops on the street. But I don't want to ream her too awfully on that. And I guess the only reason why people are reaming her is because she's an opportunistic fool. Some people are saying the race of the girls doesn't matter. Some people are obviously pointing it out because the media was just so thirsty for a hate crime with a shooting at the salon that happened last week, even though it was like a sex addict who was trying to destroy temptation and wasn't necessarily, they hate Asians and that's why they shot up the place. And they're like, well, it's racism and sexism is what they're saying. And no, it's a sicko who had an addiction, and he was trying to obviously alleviate it in the wrong kind of psychotic way. And but what's really sick about our society is that they're so desperate for a narrative. So people are mentioning it to push back on a narrative. And that's not really why I mentioned the race of the people involved. I mentioned the race because I want to talk about the cultural issues and the societal issues today, and that's why I'm really upset about this. I'm upset that these two girls have ruined their lives. I'm upset that it cost this man his life. A lot of people are talking about how they cared more about their cell phone being in there than a man lying on the street. Obviously, what they did was awful. They had their stun gun. They planned to hurt someone if there was an altercation. So there's some premeditation there. They could probably be charged with murder 2 or 3. It might not have hit them in that situation. So I'm not going to call them psychopathic monsters like other people are. I'm not going to go quite that far. But what I'm upset about is that there's just no respect today for people, for their property, for their things. And we don't want to talk about this total lack of regard for each other's lives. Like my friend was on a panel the other day and they were talking about mass shootings and stuff, and it was on Let It Rip, and man, the people she was talking to on that panel was just irritating and ridiculously stupid. And she said, we have a morality issue today where people don't value each other's lives. We don't value human lives. And we have a morality issue. And they kept saying, no, we don't have a morality issue. We have a gun issue. Like they just wanted to keep like saying, no, it's the guns. It's the gun culture. It's the gun culture. It's the gun culture. Even if you made that case that plays a part into it, why would you still say that we don't have a morality issue on top of that? Or that's like an over encompassing thing that they wanted to not even like really acknowledge. And there were other things that bothered me about their response to, it was 2 women who were pro guns and these men who were anti-gun, and they're like, you don't need it. And they're like, we want to protect our families. Like, you don't need it. And it's like, guns are equalizers. So maybe with their male privilege, they feel more accommodating that they can take care of their family, but women definitely want that new equalizer if they get into a situation. And my friend also talked about the purpose of being armed is to make sure that you can protect yourself against tyranny from the government and other stuff like that, which they didn't really want to accept that either. But it's a frustrating interview if you want to go watch it. People don't want to talk about like the morality issue of today and the problems that we have regarding that. I watch something like this and I think back to last year when they had the riots and the looting and people were stealing stuff and people were justifying it, going out or raiding out a Target or other stores like that, Nike stores, stealing purses, raiding cheesecake factories. That's not even a joke. And it wasn't just black people. It was a lot of people doing all this kind of opportunistic crime. And as I watch videos, I'm like, I can't believe I guess it's not that I can't believe it, but it's something unbelievable to watch, I guess. And there's the amount of people doing this and it just caught up in the rush of the sin and the crime to get all these things. And not just young people, older people who just have no sort of moral qualms about it. When you work in retail and you're watching people who might steal and stuff, they teach you that a lot of it has to do with opportunity. And if people see an opportunity, they may not like have it in the, people may not go there to steal. There are definitely people who go to places to steal, but a lot of it is opportunity. So I guess people were just addicted to that opportunity, but when the mindset spreads, like you can do this, you can get away with it. And also not just you can get away with it, there are people justifying it. They were saying, if you care about the stuff that's stolen, you care about stuff more than you care about Black lives. It's like, no, I can care about Black lives and also say you have no right to steal other people's things. I don't care if you think it's insured. You are causing insurance prices to rise in these, especially lower income communities. You are doing a terrible disservice. And this covetousness in, biblical circles, we call it sinful. But it's so prevalent today in our society that it's become a disease, and it was something that was excused so much last year. And we just have this terrible I mean, people have obviously stolen and did carjackings and stuff before last year, but I keep going back to last year because there was so much justification for people doing these awful things. If you think that just leaves a zero impact, you're crazy. You're crazy in the sort of attitude that people have, particularly young people, where they feel this such of entitlement. They feel entitled to your things. You don't have it. I want it. Therefore, I can take it. That covetousness, that greed, it leads to that mentality, and it can lead to actual people going out of their way to commit the actual crime. And so we saw a lot of that last year. I saw people justifying it, people saying that they should pre-plan stuff. If you're watching and you're a white person going, yeah, those blacks, they did that. No, y'all did it too. And not only did y'all do it, y'all justified, and not everybody, this is generalization, obviously, but there were white people who I had to argue with who were justifying it and like, this is the cry of the unheard, and all this other stuff. And we are going back and forth. And eventually this is a particular conversation, someone apologized to me because not because I was right. They apologized because as a white person, they didn't feel it was correct for them to speak out on this particular issue. And so I was like, I don't want you to take away your voice because you're a white person. I'm like, man, this is just disturbing that they feel that they don't have any kind of voice anymore. I'm like, please don't like check out of a conversation because you're white. And I'm like, I just wanted you to understand that that this isn't a good attitude. This is wrong or whatever. So she apologized and she kind of left the conversation, and she had private messaged me her apology and deleted like her tweets and stuff. But it was just that, but that wasn't the only kind of conversation that I had like that. And so you had all this bad behavior and you had all of these people validate it and excuse it and amplify it. And like I said, that sort of attitude, it doesn't just go away. It's right now, it's embedded even more deeply into people's mindsets, into their culture. These young people who feel entitled and they're angry, they're being taught to be angry. They're being taught that their anger is justified, that the whole world is against them. And it's fine if you take it out on the world because it's understandable and justifiable because the world has wronged you. So yeah, these two ladies are accountable for what they did specifically in this moment. They are absolutely accountable, but I'm upset about the entirety of the culture of what we've created, what we've justified, and what we have done. Like if you read Color, Communism, and Common Sense, it talks about basically how they wanted to weaponize race and make the Black community pretty much an undesirable group of people to live with, to use them to use critical race theory or critical theory or whatever to push communism in America. And and that lack of respect for private property that is definitely one of the tenets, because they don't believe in private property. And when they had that list of the whiteness qualities and stuff that came out, that stuff was totally communistic. So and how they're trying to program people, and basically these things that are like normal things, like any sense of agency that you might have, is a whiteness quality, and you shouldn't have to feel responsible for the things you do, things you say, because something was done to you, therefore there's no accountability. And so when I see things like this, or when I saw things that were happening last year in the sort of justification for the riots and the violence and the theft and all this other stuff, it just drove me up a wall, because I'm like, you guys are purposely destroying the Black community. You're purposely doing it. And I guess there's some people who aren't, but it is not helpful, and you have to take accountability if you played a role in justifying this insanity. So you have a man who's only immigrated into the country not too long, who now is gone. His wife is a widow. His children are fatherless. His grandchildren no longer have a grandfather. And he came to the land of opportunities, started his own little gig with Uber Eats. And I don't know how long he's been doing that, but he was doing the Uber Eats, and these two girls carjacked him in broad daylight, knowing that there's all these like men stationed from the National Guard around DC, and it still didn't do a darn thing to stop them. And they still tried to jack that car, and they got into that accident, and he died. And just the goal of them doing that, and I don't know what's going to happen to them, because there's prosecutors who, because they are young, they are very young, and what they did was pretty terrible and serious. And the fact that they allegedly had that stun gun and hurt him too, shows some premeditation there, that they were prepared to fight to get what they wanted if they were in a bad situation for them. But there are some prosecutors who are going to want to go lightly on them, because, and not just because they're kids, but there's a lot of people, even with this riots and stuff last year, prosecutors who are saying, well, let's try to like bring these parties together, and instead of punishing these people, like throwing the book at them or they're going to jail, maybe they can like apologize and clean up the store or something like that, instead of giving them any sort of jail time. So there's people who are trying to kind of skate away from taking full accountability for what happened. Like, you saying sorry, maybe cleaning up the store doesn't do anything about the time that went into them not having their store open, their stuff being gone. They're like, people have their Black Fridays ruined, like Christmas sales ruined, and stuff had to close. Like, you ruin so much of their business, and you coming and apologizing isn't going to just make that up. I guess it's between what the judges and stuff want to do. I think they're still kind of seeing, even if they kind of serve their like penance, that they may still prosecute them. I definitely don't think people from the outside looking in should know that there's not going to be accountability for actions like those. It's not like people didn't know it was wrong to steal and loot a store, but there's definitely prosecutors who are more lefty, who are into the social justice, and feel that actual justice isn't justice because there's already been injustice done to these people. So I don't know what will happen to these girls, but I know what they did was horrific. Where are the fathers who are raising these girls? 13 and 15, these girls are just babies. In today's standards, they're just children. And that's another thing. You had all these lockdowns and stuff like that. Instead of people being at school, instead of people, I don't know, dragging your kids to church or something like that, community centers or whatever, these kids are up in the streets doing all kinds of stuff. It's no wonder that something like this could happen. And then in cases where you have these people out in the streets, and the other far end is people just at home depressed. And we've done such a huge disservice to the youth this past year. And I'm grateful that at this time that I didn't have any kids that had to experience anything like that. I'm grateful that I never missed a day at church, and we still had like our circle of people we could interact with. I know the lockdowns weren't socially as difficult for me as they were. And I'm an introvert, to be honest with you, but it wasn't actually very awful for me as it was for like other people out in the world who really suffered with isolation and depression. So I mean, I thank God I had a different experience, but my heart goes out to people who had a tragic experience this past year of just being alone. Especially kids who couldn't see their friends from school. And we've just really done a huge disservice to society lately. And what are we going to do about it now? But one thing we have to do is we have to teach accountability, and we have to instill within people a sense of value, that we all have intrinsic value, and that life matters, and that your life has to matter. All lives do matter, but particularly your life has to matter. If these girls thought their lives mattered, then they would make better decisions for themselves. So you have to instill within people this YOLO crap, this live my truth crap. It's crap. It's crap. You have to instill in people a good sense of morals, because a good sense of morals and society norms, if anything else, they will keep you out of trouble. And you know what? Back to like the Asians don't commit the most crimes against Asians, but blacks commit the most crimes against Asians. There's a totally different structure. And you also see this with like Asians also don't, they have like the lowest out of wedlock birth rate too. And they have a higher median income as well. So why is that? They have like just a totally different culture. They'll get together, they'll start their own family business, they'll have multiple generations living in a house peaceably. You'd never know. They pool their money together, they'll go start a business in your community and be racking it up while you're upset because you ain't got nothing. They instill a sense of honor, and it's like, you don't embarrass the family, you don't embarrass us. And they instill shame. You do something wrong, we're going to shame you. And we need to reintroduce shame. There's too many people out here living shamelessly who are like, don't judge me. Only God can judge me. Oh, and he will. He will. But he's not the only one who's going to judge you, because you live on this earth and there will be a judge and a jury, and you will get what you deserve. So what you need to do is take into account that your life matters. And if your life matters, you wouldn't be stealing cars. You wouldn't be putting yourself in these situations. You wouldn't be sleeping around with any old kind of thing, making all these babies with these deadbeat guys that you aren't married to. You wouldn't be having relationships with drug dealers, putting yourself in a position to be the next Breonna Taylor. We're not having those kind of conversations. I'm not trying to justify what the cops did, but I can talk about what you could do with your life. And it's like, well, you're trying to victim blame. No, I'm trying to give you some advice to care about yourself just a little bit more than what you have done. To just think about the possibility of your future and where it can lead if you don't stop making dumb choices. And you can't just go through your life, look at where you are, and blame the white man or blame societal structures or systemic racism for decisions that you made, when you made all the wrong decisions to get where you are exactly at this point. Your life has to matter to you. And these girls, you can't say their lives matter to them, because they have ruined their futures. They have ruined themselves, and they have destroyed the life of a man who was just trying to make a living for him and his wife and in this great country of promise. And now that promise for him has been snuffed out. There have been funds and people have given to this man for his family, and that's kind and that's great, but it's still not worth his life, and he's gone. And people who knew him will mourn him. We are talking about this because it's some people are saying we're only talking about this because conservatives in the right-wing media are trying to form some kind of narrative. It happened on video, and it was viral. That's why we're talking about it. That's why we're talking about it, because it was horrific and broad daylight. That's why we're talking about it. But I'm talking about it because I see just what we've done and we need to have this conversation. So I'm having it right now. You can take it or you can leave it, but you have to start considering that your life matters and you need to make better decisions, and you need to instill within your children a sense of morals and a sense of shame for when they do things that are wrong. It's no one's fault but their own. And you need to make better decisions for your family, for your upcoming family, that you will not have kids out of wedlock, that you will keep a job, hold a job, graduate from high school, and not put any sort of generation in this position where they would do something crazy like this. It does have a ripple effect. It just does. So make better decisions for you, make better decisions for your future, for your family, etc. And the last thing I want to talk about is CNN. They tweeted out a headline that people were really upset about how two girls stole a man's car that led to an accident, which led to fatal injuries, and its murder was trending. I'm assuming because particularly of this, because they didn't just call it flat out murder. And they do cover things differently. And people are like, these are young girls. It was an accident, etc. But then I also see people say on the flip side, sometimes the same people are like, well, I want them to prosecute them to the fullest extent of law. They will, I'm sure. And what they'll probably charge them with will be murder. Cause that's what happened. Like the legal classification of what happened is going to fall under murder. Media plays games with how they label stuff. So I think it was right for people to dunk on them, but I don't really want to play a bunch of narrative games and stuff, but, I think it's important to talk about what I just talked about. So there you go. I was upset when this story broke. But I did go to church, and We had a good service. So it's not as fiery as I felt as when all this stuff did break, but it's still upsetting, and we have a lot to do with our society, and we do have a morality issue, and you can blame systems and all this other stuff, but it's a morality issue, and we need to fix it. We need to fix it. Drag their butts to church. So anyway, please visit blacktnews.com. Check out other content that I have, and please check out the merchandise. Find something that you like. Find something that you like for someone else and buy it for them. And also, if you like this content and you want to see it keep going, please feel free to give on the site, or you can follow that link right there at the bottom. God bless you guys, and I'll see you next time.